we're here today with attorney Lawrence Goodwin, and we're talking about some common misconceptions people have and some myths. And the one I'm really interested in is the whole common law marriage thing. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I think a lot of people have struggled with the issue. Oklahoma is one of the very few states that still even recognizes common law marriage. But people think, for instance, that there's some magical number of months or years that if you live with someone, cohabitation just creates the existence of a common law marriage, and it's just not true. The number I typically hear is 6 months. Hey, well, I lived with this person for 6 months, so therefore we're married, right?
Well, like you better move out.
I've actually had clients who've gone that far. Lived with somebody for 5.5 months and started staying elsewhere on a regular basis so that they wouldn't be snuck into or backdoored into a marriage that they didn't want. That's just not the fact of the matter. The law does recognize, Oklahoma does recognize common law marriage, but there's several more relevant factors to consider when trying to establish that a common law marriage existed, or sometimes just as importantly that in fact it did not exist.
I'll be darned. So let me get this straight. If a woman's name is Smith and my name is Brown, and if she just puts Smith on her water bill or credit card, is that enough, or is it just part of it?
I think that's, it certainly goes to show that the parties had some sort of an agreement, some sort of understanding that they were going to use each other's name, but it goes more to your state of mind and how you hold yourself out to the world.
Can you hold yourself out? Can you explain that?
Yeah. For instance, if you're living with your girlfriend and your last name's, I can't remember your...
Let's say Brown. I'm Brown, right?
And she's Smith, and you introduce her as your wife to your neighbors and to your pastor and to your kid's school teacher, that starts to be a lot more relevant type evidence that we would use to establish the existence of a common law marriage, that you're holding yourself out or portraying yourself as a married couple, whether or not you were ceremonially married or not, but you're showing yourself to the world as married people.
So it all adds up. It's the whole picture.
It's a combination of things. They also look for certain factors, like if you file taxes together and you hold yourself out as married people whenever you're filing taxes. Insurance policies, important steps in life that you're taking together. Just because you take them together does not necessarily mean you're married, but certainly when we look at the combination of the elements of those steps together, insurance policies, purchasing homes and cars and joint bank accounts together, that in combination with telling people that that's your husband and wife, that can certainly be enough to create the existence and prove the existence of a common law marriage.
Gotcha. So if someone's just living with another person for a long time and they don't do any of those other things, they're not married?
Well, certainly not. In the example I use all the time, I don't know, somebody recently actually told me that they think they might have finally gotten married, but Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, kind of out there in Hollywood for all these years, been boyfriend and girlfriend, for lack of a more eloquent term,
since the 70s,
and have children together, and were very outspoken about the fact that they weren't married and didn't want to be married. So it's certainly it's counterintuitive to think that just because, especially in this day and age, that just because people are living together that they're married. We certainly all probably know people in our circle of friends or in our family even who cohabitate with someone and have for some period of time in excess of 6 months or even a year, but they are certainly not married and don't hold themselves out as being married. So the law would seem to restrict people's ability to do that if it were to somehow set an arbitrary number of days of cohabitation and then, force people to be married.
Gotcha. That's great. That's very helpful. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.